Yeah, some trees may just be getting launched here today because remember, Macbeth cannot be vanquished until Burnham Wood comes to Dunsinane. So let's find out what happens with that. So Act 5, Scene 4, we're in the country near Burnham Wood, and we have Malcolm, who remember is supposed to be like the real king because Duncan had decreed it, even though that was not a cool thing for him to do. But now he's proven himself. He's become the leader, and we have Monteith and Seward and the other soldiers. And let's go find out how they plan to overthrow Macbeth, who is having, let's face it, a meltdown in the castle as he's running around in his armor way before the time that it's necessary, which is kind of entertaining. But you know what? That's fine. I think that I would run away. Like that doctor and Seward, I feel, or no, not Seward, excuse me, Seaton. Too many S's. Too many S's and too many M's in this play. I think that they are just kind of like, oh, okay. It's kind of like a toddler throwing a tantrum, and you're just like, I'm just going to let them work themselves out with that and try not to die in the process. Oh, there you go. So I think it's a little bit more dangerous for like them to walk away from Macbeth though, because they die. So let's see what the allies have planned here. So scene 4. I'm so excited.
Act 5, Scene 4. The countryside around Burnham. The army enters, led by Malcolm, Seward and his son, Macduff, Monteith, Caithness, Angus, Lennox, and many soldiers.
Cousins, I hope the days are near at hand, that Chambers will be safe.
We doubt it nothing.
What wood is this before us?
The wood of Burnham.
Let every soldier hew him down a bough, and bear it before him. Thereby shall we shadow the numbers of our host, and make discovery err in report of us.
It shall be done.
What are they gonna do? So Malcolm says, okay, everyone just go and cut down like a big old branch and put it like in front of him. So in that way, when Macbeth looks out of the castle, he's going to see Burnham Wood coming to him. Oh my gosh. And they're doing this in order to go and mask their numbers. So in that way, he doesn't know how many soldiers there are. And that is exactly what the prophecy said was going to happen. Why did he trust the witches? He shouldn't have. Oh, I love it.
We learn no other, but the confident tyrant keeps still in Dunsinane, and will endure our sitting down before it.
'Tis his main hope. For where there is advantage to be gone, both more and less have given him the revolt. And none serve with him but constrained things whose hearts are absent too.
So this is Macbeth's last stand. Every single person in Scotland has turned against him. Wow. That's just amazing.
Let our just censures attend the true event, and put we on industrious soldiership.
The time approaches that will with due decision make us know what we shall say we have and what we owe. Thoughts speculative their unsure hopes relate, but certain issue strokes must arbitrate, towards which advance the war.
So that's the end of scene 4. So Seward's just like, okay, this is the main event. Macbeth is going down. We are going to attack Dunsinane, and this is the final act of war. Everybody get ready because it is time to go. As Burnham Wood is going to come to Dunsinane. I love it. Oh, and now we get to see Macbeth and how he reacts when he looks out the window.
Act 5, Scene 5. In the castle at Dunsinane, enter Macbeth and Seaton with various soldiers.
Hang out our banners on the outward walls. The cry is still, they come. Our castle's strength will laugh a siege to scorn. Here let them lie till famine and the ague eat them up. Were they not forced with those that should be ours, we might have met them dareful, beard to beard, and beat them backward home.
So Macbeth is sounding a little unhinged here. I need to put that nicely, I guess. He is convinced that his castle will stand up to any siege. And he's like, okay, bring it on, everyone of Scotland. I know you hate me, but guess what? My castle can withstand it. That's fine. He's like, you know what? And eventually the English are just going to give up and they're going to die from no food and boredom. He's like, and I'm still going to be in here. Perfectly fine.
What was that noise?
It is the cry of women, my good lord.
Seaton leaves.
I've almost forgot the taste of fear. The time has been my senses would have cooled to hear a night shriek, and my fell of hair would at a dismal treatise rouse and stir as life were in't. I have supped full with horrors. Diurnus, familiar to my slaughterous thoughts, cannot once start me.
So he's like, oh, that must be nice for those women to feel fear. He's like, I remember feeling fear. Yeah, I used to get scared about things. He's like, but now I feel nothing and I fear nothing. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, I remember way back when I used to be scared of the night. That wasn't so far long ago, Macbeth. It was just a couple acts ago. He's like, but now I've been through so much, seen so many things that, nothing can scare me now. And kind of miss that feeling. Yeah, it's kind of cool. All right.
Seaton returns.
Wherefore was that cry?
The queen, my lord, is dead.
I mean, we kind of saw that coming, didn't we? Yeah, I mean, like, oh no. So Lady Macbeth is dead. Remember that the doctor was like, take away anything that she could harm herself with. Apparently, they forgot something or she found something. That's so upsetting, like that's not the answer, that's a very final solution. And that's so, I mean, that is tragic. Even though she did bad stuff, but she felt bad about it, so that it's a tragedy no matter what. Right. Yeah, with the planning, no, she didn't feel bad, but the reality of it, at least she did feel remorse. And so I have to respect that. But she was so racked with guilt afterwards and fear that she unfortunately killed herself. So now let's see how Macbeth is going to react to this, because he has like all of Scotland coming after him, trying to take him down. And remember, he did love his wife. They had, at least at the beginning, a really good marriage and relationship.
She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. 'Tis a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
That's like so tragic and sad right there. He does not start out too well though, because he says he doesn't have time to mourn her now. And I mean, he's right because I mean, a battle is about to begin, but still, like, it comes across as kind of callous of like, huh, well, she should have died tomorrow. Like, this does not go with my plan for today, and how dare she? But I think it's also where he's just like, he's realizing that he does want to go and be able to properly mourn her because he does love her. But it doesn't sound good at all. Like this, the beginning of that monologue is like, oh, ouch. Oh, no, no, no. So then he continues, and it's so poignant. And he says that everything that he's worked for is now gone. And all he sees before him is just meaningless emptiness. And he's just like, well, what's the point of living? You know, he has no followers, he has no queen, he has no wife, he has no subjects, and he still believes that he's unable to be killed. And so the image of yesterdays exists to bring us closer to death. It's poignant because there's really nothing left at the end except destruction for him. He's destroyed everything. But he sees himself like as immortal, and as an immortal he's still achieved absolutely nothing. I mean, like, let's face it, if you could live forever, what changes would you want to see within the world? And instead of making things better, he's made things worse and killed pretty much everybody. And so then he says that he's like an actor who comes out, screams for an hour, and then is forgotten. And then his last thought are kind of like, his words are rambling of like that his words are ramblings of like a lunatic. So that's what it means with the idiot who shouts and wails but has nothing to say. And he's just like, so here I am, I'm having all of this to say, but no one's like actually paying attention to me. And he's like, my time as king has meant absolutely nothing. And it's been a disaster, and he has nothing for posterity, nothing good to remember him by. Well, that's accurate, Macbeth. That is true. You have not been a very good king within this play. So that's his time to mourn and also feel a little bit bad for himself. But remember, his emotions are shifting quite a bit. So let's see how long that lasts.
Enter a messenger.
Thou comes to use thy tongue. Thy story, quickly.
Gracious my lord, I should report that which I say I saw, but know not how to do it.
Well, say, sir.
As I did stand my watch upon the hill, I looked toward Burnham, and anon methought the wood began to move.
Liar and slave!
Let me endure your wrath, if it not be so. Within this 3 mile may you see it coming. I say, a moving grove.
If thou speak'st false, upon the next tree shalt thou hang alive till famine cling thee. If thy speech be sooth, I care not if thou dost for me as much.
So that's a little intense. You know, he's like, that's rude. But are we really shocked and surprised at this point? No. So this is the moment that Macbeth like realizes that he should have never believed the witches. It took him this long. I mean, we saw it. We saw it all the way back in there. Banquo saw it. He realized it from the start. And so, like, while he despairs over the situation, he thought he was invulnerable. And now, right as he was just like, oh, yes, I remember fear. I kind of miss it. Well, now it's back. Be careful what you wish for, Macbeth, because he is now feeling fear. He's like, oh, maybe I can be beaten because Burnham Wood is coming to my castle. Oh, no.
I pull in resolution, and begin to doubt the equivocation of the fiend that lies like truth. Fear not till Burnham Wood do come to Dunsinane. And now a wood comes towards Dunsinane. Arm and out. If this which he avouches does appear, there is no flying hence, nor tarrying here. Again to be aweary of the sun, and wish the estate of the world were now undone. Ring the alarm bell. Blow wind. Come rack. At least we'll die with harness on our back.
Well then. So this is now the third time that he has wished for the world to come to an end because he's not enjoying existence himself. I'm sorry, that's selfish. That is extraordinarily selfish and not a very good sign of a leader. Like, would you want your leader to be like, things have to be going my way or the entire world can burn? I mean, that's terrible. And so now he's just like, well, all right, fine. I'm just going to go and my only reason for living now is to destroy all. Okay, that's a very dangerous person. That's scary. And so he's not going to go and sit in the castle. He's going to go fight. And if he dies, he's like, well, at least it'll be in battle where I'm good. I'm good at something and I'm really good at killing people. So let's do this. Scene 6. Let's see what happens.
Act 5, Scene 6. The army have marched to the very gate of Dunsinane Castle, each of them holding a bough from Burnham Wood. At their head is Malcolm, Seward, and Macduff. They prepare to take the castle.
Now near enough. Your levy screens throw down and show like those you are. You, worthy uncle, shall with my cousin, your right noble son, lead our first battle. Worthy Macduff and we shall take uponst what else remains to do according to our order.
Fare you well. Do we but find the tyrant's power tonight, let us be beaten if we cannot fight.
Make all our trumpets speak. Give them all breath, those clamorous harbingers of blood and death.
So we have a very clear distinction between Malcolm and Macbeth here. Malcolm's very much in control and very clear about what he wants his people to do. Okay, you're going to go here. You and me, we're going to go on over here, and this is what we're going to do. Everybody else, this is what you guys need to do. Whereas Macbeth is kind of running around like a chicken with his head cut off and just kind of barking orders at anybody, and they don't really make a lot of sense. Whereas Malcolm's directions are very, very clear. And so we're seeing, how different as far as leadership goes. And that's going to give us a little bit of hints as to what kind of leader Malcolm will eventually be, and he will be a good one. And the only thing I have to say about like Act 5 in general is that there are so many rhyming couplets that it's a little bit distracting for me. That just adds another layer to like Shakespeare's brilliance, and it's just very impressive. So next scene, we're gonna flip back to Macbeth. Oh.
Act 5, Scene 7. Macbeth, inside the castle.
They have tied me to a stake, I cannot fly, but bear-like I must fight the course. What's he that was not of woman born? Such a one am I to fear or none.
Young Seward enters.
What tends to happen whenever we have kids appear in the play? They do get hurt or attempted to be hurt and killed. So young Seward is going to be a little bit older than like little baby Macduff and a little bit older than Fleance. Young Seward's probably going to be like maybe 13, 14, maybe 15 at the most, but still very, very young man.
What is thy name?
Thou'lt be afraid to hear it.
No, though thou call'st thyself a hotter name than any is in hell.
My name's Macbeth.
The devil himself could not pronounce a title more hateful to mine ear.
No, no more fearful.
Thou liest! Abhorred tyrant! With my sword I'll prove the lie thou speakest.
Thou wast born of woman! But swords I smile at. weapons laughed to scorn, brandished by man that's of a woman born.
There's the line. Shakespeare already crossed it. Now he's just like, let's just keep going. Yeah, let's just keep on going. Yeah, it's a brisk walk, little power walk. So we have yet again that theme of child abuse, and truthfully, like by him killing young Seward, I mean, children are the future. You know, not to go and quote the song, but lead or teach them well and let them lead the way. I'm sorry, I had my moment. I was going to take it. So by him going and killing young Seward, he is symbolically killing the future. Jeez, Macbeth, you're not just satisfied with killing all the adults now. Now you're going and killing all the kids. That's not okay. And he still at this point believes that he cannot be killed, even though he was just like, why did I believe the witches? My man, if you're not going to go and believe one part of the prophecies and realize that they were like scamming you a little bit, then don't believe any of it, you silly goose. But of course, he is. So now, our boy Macduff comes on in.
Macbeth leaves, and Macduff enters, searching for Macbeth.
That way the noise is. Tyrant, show thy face. If thou be'st slain with no stroke of mine, my wife and children's ghosts will haunt me still. I cannot strike at wretched kerns whose arms are hired to bear their staves. Either thou, Macbeth, or else my sword with an unbattered edge I sheathe again undeeded. There thou shouldst be, by this great clatter. One of greatest note seems bruited. Let me find him, fortune, and more I beg not.
So yes, that was a very good description of that. He's kind of coming in hot, like ready to avenge his family, and he's just all like, "Where is Macbeth? I am ready to kill him." And he's just like, "My wife and children's ghosts will haunt me still." Oh, that's so sad there. Oh. And he says, I cannot strike at wretched kerns. So kerns are going to be the same people who fought with Swano, who was the traitor at the beginning of the play. And he's like, I don't care about them. I have nothing against these people. They're just hired. They're just doing their jobs. I want Macbeth and Macbeth only. That's understandable. So he's hunting. He's hunting. And now Seward and Malcolm are going to come in next.
Macduff leaves to track down Macbeth. There is fighting all over the castle now. Malcolm and Seward are prepared to enter the castle and join the fight.
This way,
No, I just cut in there, like, really obnoxiously, sorry. Seward has no idea that his son is dead. None. So, just as a heads up.
my lord. The castle's gently rendered. The tyrant's people on both sides do fight. The noble thanes do bravely in the war. The day almost itself professes yours, and little is to do.
We have met with foes that strike beside us.
Enter, sir, the castle.
Act 5, Scene 8. Within the castle we discover Macbeth, who has the point of his own sword aimed at his heart as he considers suicide.
Why should I play the Roman fool and die on mine own sword? Whilst I see lives, the gashes do better upon them.
Beth is having a bit of a break from reality here. So yes, he is contemplating suicide, but then he says, well, why should I play the Roman fool and die on mine own sword? So you guys know that from history of where if they were going to go and die, they would go and fall on the sword, and that's how they would die. That seems like a very bad way to go, but historically that's what happened. So that's why that's there. But then he rejects that thought, and he's just like, nope, there's still others to kill. And let's face it, the slashy slashes are going to look so much better on them than they will on me. So he's like, let's continue and go. So I was practicing that. How do I do with like sounding absolutely insane? Did it sound pretty good? Yeah, good. And now our boy Macduff is going to come on in. Yeah.
Now Macduff enters.
Turn! Hellhound, turn!
Of all men else, I have avoided thee. But get thee back! My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already.
I have no words. My voice is in my sword, thou bloodier villain, and terms can give thee out!
Can we just look at that for a second out of all the guys that are here, I really tried to avoid you because I killed your family. Dude, not cool. Not cool.
And they fight, grindingly, brutally. Eventually, Macbeth gets the upper hand, believing himself immortal.
Thou losest labour. As easy mayst thou the entrenchant air with thy keen sword impress as make me bleed. Let fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to one of woman born.
Despair that charm, and let the angel whom thou hast still served tell thee Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped.
Sorry, I forgot about the thunder there. How was Macduff born? He was a C-section baby. Now, like when we think of C-sections, we think of, like it being like very cool, calm and collected. It's a medical procedure. It's, it's hopefully generally planned and not scary for the mother. And well, yes. So Macduff was born from a C-section, but his mom wasn't alive. And that's why the prophecy is correct. Because she died, and then they're just like, oh no, we have to save the baby. And so they opened up her body within like minutes of her passing and were able to go and save baby Macduff. I don't want to call him baby Macduff, or Macduff as a baby. There we go. That's a little bit better. So since she was dead before he was born, he's not technically a woman born. The witches were going with loopholes. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Now, I mean, could you go and argue that absolutely he's a woman born? Yes, he still has a mother and everything like that, but they just playing around with their words. And, oh no. Can you imagine Macbeth's face like right now? He's just all like, what? Like, just time out. I need a moment to process. Oh my gosh. And how cool of Macduff in order to be like, wait, a woman born. Well, guess what? My mama was dead when I was born. Like, how fast and on your feet do you have to be? I'm not that person. Like, usually it's like 5 days later where I'm like, yes, this would be the perfect comeback. See, he would be good at that then. And so let's see how Macbeth reacts. Oh my gosh. I know it's a play. So, of course, Shakespeare had like a couple hours to think of it, but still, like, that's good. Oh.
Cursed be that tongue that tells me so, for it hath cowed my better part of man, and be these juggling fiends no more believed that palter with us in a double sense, that keep the word of promise to our ear, and break it to our hope. I'll not fight with thee.
You have a choice, sir. And so it has taken Macbeth all of this time in order to be like, oh, curses. I should not have trusted those witches at all. My man, you were just saying when you saw Burnham Wood come into Dunsinane that you shouldn't have trusted them, but he's just like, oh, I still have hope. No! And so he drops the sword. He's like, I'm not gonna fight you. Too little, too late, sir. Too little, too late. You know, Macduff has all the reasons to go and continue on and be like, you know what? I don't care. Too little, too late. Slice.
Then yield thee, coward, and live to be the show and gaze of the time. We'll have thee as our rarer monsters are, painted upon a pole, and under it, here may you see the tyrant.
He's like, okay, fine. I'll just take you prisoner. He's like, and you are going to be treated like a rare monster, or a rarer monster, excuse me. And people, you're going to be like paraded around, and people are going to pay to see you as a little weirdo. Now, I do have to say that this is not very appropriate or PC in today's time because, like, especially for back then, and I'm not saying it was okay, but I am just historically letting you know that this is what happened. People who were viewed as being different were generally put into like a parade of shows, and they were like made fun of, and that's not okay. That's not cool. I understand where Macduff is coming from at this point. However, historically, I'm very sad and ashamed that people did that at some point. But he is trying to just kind of egg him into a fight at this point. But let's see how Macbeth reacts to that.
I will not yield to kiss the ground before young Malcolm's feet, and to be baited with the rabble's curse. Though Burnham Wood be come to Dunsinane, and thou opposed, being of no woman born, yet I will try the last. Before my body I throw my warlike shield. Lay on, Macduff, and damned be him that first cries, hold! Enough!
Macbeth is killed.
So there's the resolution of the story. We called it. Macbeth was killed. So they don't do a very good job of explaining like what's going on here because it's a play. So let me go and explain what you would see on stage. So they go and they like go off stage, then they re-enter fighting, and then Macduff goes and kills Macbeth on stage. They do show that generally. Because it's an adult, yes. And Macbeth isn't like the rightful king. So it wouldn't be something bad, unlike Duncan, who was the rightful king. So then Macduff drags off Macbeth's body. So I'm just going based upon because I've seen this play in person, and that's usually what they do. Now, like truthfully, if this were real, that would not make a lot of sense to just go and drag off somebody's dead body. But, you know, for the play, they have to go and move on to the next scene. Ultimately, try to remember, and I don't want to give it away, remember what they said that they were going to do to Macbeth's body once he was dead. So as you're thinking about that, let's move on where Malcolm and Seward are talking.
Act 5, Scene 9. The battle is concluded, and the castle is now held by Malcolm and his army. Enter Malcolm, Seward, Ross, and many other lords and soldiers.
I would the friends we miss were safe arrived.
Some must go off. And yet by these I see, so great a day as this is cheaply bought.
Macduff is missing, and your noble son.
Your son, my lord, has paid a soldier's debt. He only lived but till he was a man, the which no sooner had his prowess confirmed in the unshrinking station where he fought, but like a man he died.
Told y'all Ross always had bad news. So Ross is like, yeah, I don't know where Macduff is, but Seward, your kid is dead. Sorry. He's like, he did die before he was a man. He's like, but he behaved like a man. Right. I like that does not make it any better, Ross. It's just read the room, sir. Read the room. But poor guy. He's trying to make him feel better, but it's just missed the mark a little bit.
Then he is dead?
Aye, and brought off the field. Your cause of sorrow must not be measured by his worth, for then it hath no end.
Had he his hurts before?
Aye, on the front.
Why then God's soldier be he. Had I as many sons as I have hairs, I would not wish them to a fairer death. And so his knell is nulled.
He's worth more sorrow, and that I'll spend for him.
He's worth no more. They say he parted well and paid his score. And so, God be with him. Here comes newer comfort.
So Seward wants to know where his son's wounds were. And he's like, were they on the front of his body? Meaning that did he die bravely, or were in the back of him, meaning that he ran away? If it was on his back, he would have been considered a coward, and then he would have been ashamed that that's the way his son had died. However, when he says "I" on the front, it means that he did die fighting, and he was not being a coward. I don't know. I would turn and run, but I'm not a soldier, so that's just what I would do. Right. I guess they would look at entry wounds. I don't know. That's a good point. I have no idea if they'd be able to properly tell. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really study that. They would look similar. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. But maybe he's just trying to make him feel better. And thankfully, we do know that it was correct. And so Seward's proud of his son. And, he's taking it very much like a soldier would, I would imagine, of just being like, okay, well, I can't do anything about it, but I'm proud of my son. And I would hope that if I had a million more sons, that they would all have behaved as he did, and with honor. And so then he's like, oh, look, here comes even more comfort. And Macduff is going to be entering again with Macbeth's head. You guys remember that they said that they wanted to go and remove the tyrant's head and put it on a pike. So obviously it's not the real actor's head. They would have had to go and create a mannequin head. And it's going to be on a pole. What's that? I don't know what they would have used. I mean, I don't know. That's a really good question, and that would be a really good thing to research. I'm very curious. So my answer is I don't know, but I am very curious to find out what the answer is. But this goes and makes the last apparition's prophecy come true because Macbeth's head is on a pole. Macbeth just didn't realize it was going to be his head that was on the pole.
Hooray! Macduff enters with Macbeth's head on a pole.
Hail, King, for so thou art! Behold where stands the usurper's cursed head. The time is free! I see thee compassed with thy kingdom's pearl, that speak my salutation in their minds, whose voices I desire aloud with mine. Hail, King of Scotland!
We shall not spend a large expense of time before we reckon with your several loves and make us even with you. My thanes and kinsmen, henceforth be earls, the first that ever Scotland in such an honour named. What's more to do, which would be planted newly with the time, as calling home our exiled friends abroad, that fled the snares of watchful tyranny producing forth the cruel ministers of this dead butcher and his fiend-like queen, who, as 'tis thought, by self and violent hands took off her life. This, and what needful else that calls upon us by the grace of grace, we will perform in measure, time, and place. So, thanks to all at once, and to each one whom we invite to see us crowned at Scone.
And that's the end. So Malcolm, in his last hurrah here, he says that they can't stop here and that Malcolm is now going to go and sort out the mess. And he wants to go and bring back those that left and anyone who still has some evil and was with Macbeth. He's going to get rid of them, aka have them killed. And he uses a lot of rhyming couplets in here. A lot. I mean, pretty much all of Act 5 is like all rhyming couplets. Remember that that's where you have the last two words at the end of your lines rhyme together. So it's like A, B, B, C, C. So that's what your rhyming couplets are. And at the end, like everything is all is calm. Everything will be right. Like I don't want to sound like all Christmassy, but you know, all is calm, all is bright. I'm sorry. Bad jokes all day. And he's really taking on like these very kingly attributes. And this just kind of tells the audience that his reign will be calm and good, unlike Macbeth's. And that is the end of Macbeth. I hope that you all enjoyed it because I certainly did.